Women don't just tolerate older men. They obsess over them, and most older men have no idea it's even happening. That quiet woman at the coffee shop who kept glancing over. The younger colleague who finds reasons to come to your desk. The woman at the gathering who talked to everyone but kept coming back to you. You wrote it off. You told yourself it was nothing. You've been so busy believing the story that age makes a man less desirable that you completely missed what was right in front of you. Here's the truth nobody says out loud. A 25-year-old boy cannot compete with what you've become. Not even close. Youth is loud, flashy, and empty in ways women figure out fast. What you carry is something completely different. It's quiet. It's solid. It's the kind of thing that gets under a woman's skin and stays there. And the 5 traits in this video are exactly why. These aren't things you buy or perform. They're things you built, year by year, through a life fully lived. And by the time this video ends, you're going to stop seeing your age as something to apologize for and start seeing it for exactly what it is, the most attractive thing about you. Sign 1. You stop needing people to tell you you're enough. There's a version of a man that most people know well. He walks into a room and immediately starts scanning. He wants to know if people like him. He watches faces when he talks. He softens his opinion the second he feels any pushback because deep down, he needs the agreement more than he needs the truth. He says yes when he means no. He laughs at things he doesn't find funny. He changes the way he talks depending on who's in the room. A little louder here, a little softer there, always adjusting, always reading, always quietly managing how he's coming across. He shapes himself around whoever he's with because somewhere inside, his sense of being okay depends on other people confirming it. And the thing is, this isn't weakness. It's just where most men start. It's what you do before life teaches you better. Most men live inside that version of themselves for a very long time. Some never leave it. They get older, but they carry that same need with them. Into relationships, into work, into every room they walk into. Always just a little bit worried about whether they're landing right, whether people approve, whether they're being seen the way they want to be seen. It's exhausting. And women feel it. They feel the effort behind it. They feel the performance underneath the confidence. And it keeps them at arm's length in a way the man doesn't always understand. But the man who's done the real work, the man who's been through enough, lost enough, sat alone with himself enough, he gets out of that loop. Not overnight. Not because of one conversation or one book or one moment of clarity. Slowly. The way a bone heals after it breaks, stronger in the exact place it cracked. He stops needing the room to be on his side. He can tell you what he actually thinks and then just let it sit there. He doesn't chase your agreement, and he doesn't crumble when you push back. He's the same man in a difficult meeting and at a quiet dinner table. Same man when he's being praised and when he's being doubted. Same man alone as he is in a crowd. And women feel that consistency from across the room before he said a single word. Because most of the men they've known either pushed their weight around trying to dominate every conversation or folded themselves trying to please everyone. This man does neither. He just stands there, calm and settled, not performing anything, and the contrast is so striking it stops her. She doesn't always know what to call it. She just knows she wants to be near it. She finds herself paying attention to him without deciding to. She finds herself wondering what he's thinking because he doesn't just give it all away. And the more time she spends around him, the more she realizes this is what a man who has actually found himself feels like. Not looking for himself in her eyes. Not needing her to complete anything. Just whole. Already. That is not a small thing. That is the thing. Sign 2. You don't blow up when life pushes you. Picture a moment that would have set the younger version of you off. Someone says something, cutting in front of other people. A plan falls apart at the worst possible time after you put real work into it. Someone close to you says the one thing that goes straight to the old wound. The one they know about, the one you thought was behind you. Back then, the reaction came fast and it came hard. The sharp words you couldn't take back. The door that closed a little too firmly. The silence that stretched for days and poisoned the air in the house and hurt everyone, including you. You weren't a bad man. You were just a man who hadn't yet learned the distance between what hits you and what you do next. The man you are now still feels all of it. Don't let anyone tell you that becoming steady means becoming empty. That's not what this is. You feel the heat rise. You feel the sting of the unfair thing, the frustration of the broken plan, the particular pain of the old wound being touched again. You feel it completely. But something is different now. There's a space, a beat, maybe 2, long enough to breathe. Long enough to ask yourself, does this moment deserve everything I have? Or can I handle this with less? That question, that one quiet internal question, changes everything about what happens next. And it took years to be able to ask it in the middle of the heat. That's not something a young man has. That's something you earned. Women feel that space. They feel it immediately, and they feel it deeply, because they've spent enough time around men who don't have it. Men who blow up over small things and then walk back into the room 20 minutes later acting like nothing happened. Men who go cold and quiet for days and make everyone around them tiptoe and whisper and wonder what they did wrong. Men who make every tense moment about their own discomfort, their own ego, their own need to be right, and leave the woman standing there feeling like the problem. And then she's around you. And something is different in a way she wasn't expecting. The hard moment comes. The tension lands, and you don't disappear into it. You don't perform through it. You just handle it. Measured, present, clear, not because you're trying to look strong, but because you actually are. She feels something settle in her chest that she doesn't have a word for. She feels safe, not safe like nothing hard will ever happen. Safe like, if it does, this man will still be standing, and she won't have to carry it alone. That feeling, that specific, rare, bone-deep feeling, is what keeps a woman up at night thinking about a man she just met. Sign 3. Life broke you and you didn't turn bitter. Every man your age carries something heavy. There's loss in your past that changed the shape of things in ways you're still discovering. Failure that stung longer and deeper than you thought it would. A relationship, maybe more than one, that ended in a way you didn't choose and didn't fully recover from for longer than you'd admit out loud. A version of yourself from 10 or 15 years ago that you look back on and wince at, not because you were a terrible person, but because you can now see so clearly what you couldn't see then. Regret has a particular weight, and every man your age knows exactly what it feels like to carry it. Some men carry all of that, and it turns them hard. They close themselves off. They stop letting people in because letting people in is how you get hurt, and they've already been hurt enough. They build a version of themselves that's defended on every side, walls so thick that nothing gets in, and eventually, nothing gets out either. They call it strength. They call it not being naive anymore. But women see through it immediately. What they actually see is a man who stopped growing the day he got hurt. A man who chose protection over connection and has been slowly shrinking inside his own armor ever since. Other men carry the weight differently. They drag it into every room they enter. The story of what happened to them becomes the whole story of who they are. Every conversation, given enough time, bends back toward the wound. The ex who wronged them, the opportunity that was taken, the way things should have gone but didn't. And people stop asking how they are because they already know the answer, and it takes a long time and leaves everyone a little heavier. The man who's done the real work lands somewhere completely different. He's taken what broke him and he's used it to go deeper into himself. Not harder, not more defended, but deeper, more honest, more patient, more clear about what actually matters. He can sit across from you and talk about the hard parts of his story without drowning in them, without needing you to feel sorry for him, without making the whole conversation about his pain. He's learned something real from all of it, not the kind of lesson you put on a poster, the quiet kind, the kind that shows up in the way he treats people, in the way he makes decisions, in the way he handles himself when things get hard and no one is watching. When a woman sees that, when she sees a man who has clearly been through real things and come out the other side still warm, still honest, still open, still standing, something moves in her that she wasn't prepared for. It's not sympathy. It's deeper than sympathy. It's the recognition that this man has already been tested by life and he didn't let it make him small. She sees someone she can bring her own hard things to without worrying that it'll be too much. She sees a man who can hold weight, and a man who can hold weight, who has proven it, not by talking about it, but by living it, is one of the rarest and most quietly powerful things a woman can find. Sign 4. When you give someone your attention, they feel it completely. Almost nobody actually listens anymore. Not really. Most people are waiting to talk. They're nodding while their brain is already 3 sentences ahead planning the response. The phone is face down on the table, but they can feel it there. The room is interesting. The drink needs refilling. The person in front of them gets maybe 60% on a good day and calls it a real conversation. It's not anyone's fault entirely. The world is loud and fast and pulls at your attention from every direction all at once. But the result is that most people walk away from most conversations feeling like they were heard but not really listened to. Like they talked but weren't quite received. It takes years, sometimes most of a lifetime, for a man to figure out that his full attention is one of the most genuinely valuable things he can offer another person. not his advice, not his solutions, not his stories or his opinions or his experience, as useful as those things can be. His attention, his full, unhurried, nowhere else to be attention. The men who figure this out completely change how women experience being near them, and most of those men don't even realize they're doing it. You look at her when she talks, not a glance and then back to the room. You're actually there, eyes on her, body turned toward her, not performing listening but actually doing it. When she says something, you sit with it for a moment before you respond. You don't fill every pause. You don't rush to fix or advise or relate everything back to your own experience. You just receive what she said and let her see that you received it. You remember the name of her friend she mentioned once in passing 3 weeks ago. You ask about the thing she was stressed about last time you talked, and she stops mid-sentence because she can't remember the last time anyone followed up on something like that. You can sit in a quiet moment between sentences without needing to fill it immediately, and the quiet feels easy instead of awkward because you're not uncomfortable in it. What happens to a woman when a man gives her that kind of attention, full, real, nothing held back attention, is that she starts to feel something she doesn't feel very often. She feels seen, not impressed, not flattered, not evaluated or studied or performed for. Seen, like she can be exactly who she actually is in this moment, and this man is genuinely, quietly interested in that person. Not what she looks like or what she can offer or how she fits into his life. Just her as she is right now. That feeling is so rare that when a woman finds it, she doesn't let go of it easily. She thinks about it later when she's alone. She compares every conversation after it to that one. She finds herself wanting to go back to it. You've lived long enough to stop being the most interesting person in the room in your own mind. That shift from talking to truly listening is one of the most powerful things age quietly gives a man. And the women who experience it don't forget it. Sign 5. You're at peace with yourself, and she can feel it from across the room. This is the one that's hardest to explain and hardest to fake and most powerful of all. There's a quality that some men carry, a settled, at home in themselves quality, that has nothing to do with how they look or what they've achieved or how their life turned out. It's not happiness exactly. It's not confidence in the way that word usually gets used. It's something quieter and deeper than both of those things. It's peace. The specific kind of peace that comes from a man who has looked at the whole picture of himself, the parts he's proud of and the parts he isn't, the things he built and the things he broke, the person he wanted to be and the places where he fell short, and made a decision to stand in all of it anyway. To own it, to stop running from any part of it. Most men never get there. They spend their whole lives at war with themselves in ways they don't even fully recognize. At war with their insecurities, constantly working to keep them hidden. At war with their past, replaying it, rewriting it, carrying it like evidence of something they'd rather not face. At war with the gap between who they are and who they think they should be. Always chasing, always measuring, always coming up a little short in their own eyes. And that war shows. It shows in the way they need to talk about themselves. It shows in the way they react when they're challenged. It shows in the way they fill every quiet moment with something, because the quiet, if they let it settle, brings them too close to the parts of themselves they're avoiding. And then there's a man who has made the peace, not perfectly, not completely. He still has his doubts and his hard days and the things he's working on, but he's stopped fighting himself. He's made a kind of agreement with who he is. This is me, the whole picture, and I can live with that. And that agreement shows up in everything he does. The way he fills a room without trying to. The way he can laugh at himself without it costing him anything. The way he sits with no urgency, no need to be seen in any particular way, no performance running underneath the surface. The way silence around him feels like rest instead of pressure. The way he can hold a conversation without needing to win it. Women feel that quality the moment they're near it. Not because they analyzed it or figured it out intellectually, they feel it. In the first few minutes. In the way the air around him sits differently. In the way talking to him doesn't make them feel like they have to manage anything or perform anything or be careful about anything. They can just be there, and that ease, that feeling of being able to just exist without effort near another person, is so rare that it registers as something significant before she's even consciously aware of it. She relaxes without deciding to. She opens up without planning to. She finds herself being more honest with him in an hour than she's been with people she's known for years. Not because he did anything dramatic, because he's simply quietly, fully at ease with himself, and that ease is contagious in the best possible way. She thinks about him when she goes home, not because he was flashy, or said all the right things, or swept her off her feet with some grand gesture, because being near him felt like coming up for air, because something in his presence told her, without words, without effort, without any performance at all, that this man has done the work. He's been through the fire, he made the peace. He arrived, and arriving, fully, quietly, without fanfare, just being completely at home in who you are, is one of the most rare and most deeply attractive things one human being can offer another.